Welcome back to a special edition of Inspector Toolbelt Talk. I call this a special edition because, first of all, we have Christian Adams on from Repair Pricer. If you've never heard of Repair Pricer, you should really look it up. It's a fantastic tool. But more importantly, right at the moment, for this bit of news, Christian Adams has a deep knowledge of the mortgage industry, real estate industry, and our industry. And he sent out an email, basically with some fantastic news for us as an industry. Christian, welcome back. How are you?
Good. Thank you. And thanks for having me back again. Always love being here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back. And you've had some great news over this past month or so. And congratulations to you and your family for some great news. But tell us about this email that you sent out to in your email list, which I'm on your newsletter and everybody should be.
Yeah, it was, I've been talking to a lot of our inspector clients all over the US and, we work with a few real estate clients too. And things have been slightly pessimistic since the fall, right? Everybody's seen rising interest rates, home sales slowing, inspection counts slowing. We've seen, while we've seen a market share increase at Repair Price, we've seen a slowdown in report volume from some of our clients that are routinely really, really busy. And so I was, like every morning, read the news, go through the industry, financials and things like that, and just look at what's going on. And I saw this great piece. It was initially on CNBC saying how mortgage applications were up 28% week over week. And that's a really strong signal. I mean, that's a really big increase, right? Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, you know what? This is something people need to know about because people are sitting there making decisions at the moment around their home inspection companies and what to do and whether to keep people staffed on and keep equipment. I mean, I've seen people on the Facebook groups selling equipment.
Yeah.
Which to me is like a signal of, hey, things aren't great for some of these companies, especially the smaller companies. I've seen layoffs happen from talking to people at conferences late in the year. And I was like, let me get this out there because I think this is important for people to know that I believe the inspection industry is going to see a trailing increase in inspection volume from indicators like this. So if I can put that out there to people, maybe it helps them make a decision that ultimately benefits them in the long term. I did another piece I sent out before Christmas and that time of year, kind of advising inspectors what to do to make it through this period. And part of it was looking for signals like this, right? Tracking what's going on in the industry. It doesn't take much if you're on social media or reading the news in the morning, just to gloss over this stuff. Read our newsletters and just read the news and real estate news and just kind of make decisions based off that information. And part of it, people get bad news all the time. I was like, let's send out some good news, so people smart.
Yeah, and it's incredibly important that we understand and appreciate this bit of information because we had a podcast, a month or so ago, Don't Give Up, because some guys were just throwing in the towel saying there's no hope on the horizon. Then we also had our Q1 market outlook, and where we predicted this is going to be a great spring. Yep. So I'm going to take a wild guess. You know this market way better than me, but I always said from mortgage application to home inspection was about 6 to 9 weeks. Yes. Is that about right?
That's about right. I will say we're going to see a slight acceleration in that here, and you've got to think of the human nature of it, right? You're a buyer sitting there waiting to buy. You are waiting to lock your loan. Okay, If you're going to lock your loan earlier at a lower rate, you're probably going to want to find a home a little bit quicker than normal.
Right. Okay.
So typically I'd say 6 to 9 weeks, but yeah, I'd say more around the 6-week mark at this point because you've got buyers out there that may have targeted neighborhoods, properties, listings, but they just want to wait for that rate to come down. And that's what triggered this, right? Is we dropped from that high 6-8 average to or even 7 average to the low 6s.
Yeah.
And so you've got 2 trends. You've got your rate trend, then you've got your application trend, right? And then like you're saying, you'll then see the home or contract pending trend. And then obviously the next stage is going to be your inspection trend after that. So it's definitely trailing off that. But if you look at each stage, look at the rates, then look at the number of applications, then look at pending contracts, that's going to give you a really strong signal for that graph to say, okay, inspection is going to follow next.
Okay, so perfect. So that puts us probably right around March, the first week in March, where we're going to start seeing an uptick, which is actually an early spring, but that's probably good for the inventory issue too, I imagine. That's when a lot of markets, unless you're in the far north, start to really put stuff back on the market. Like sellers are going to be like, oh, okay, there's stuff out there. There's demand. Let's put our house back on the market.
Yeah. And I think for people that have been in the industry less than a couple of years, it's going to be strange. to see this much seasonality, right?
Oh yeah.
I've been doing this, and you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 20 years, right, in real estate in some way. I previously owned a mortgage company as well when I owned a brokerage. When I started in '04 and through the crash and everything, it was seasonal. It was a seasonal business. The last 2 years have been really strange, though.
Yeah.
And you've seen like strong Januaries and things like that, which you don't typically. And so I've talked about this before. I think this is maybe a return to normalcy. And this is a good indicator, right, of that spring, that strong spring to come. We would typically see this around that time as people get through the holidays. They come into the new year and they say, right, this year I'm going to buy a home. It's just now we've got that little extra impetus of rates have dropped a bit.
Right.
I think what's going to be strange, though, and this is just my personal prediction, I don't know how accurate it's going to be, as rates go up and down, I think consumers are more sensitive to them now than they have been historically, because they've been so used to this really 3%. I refied at like 2.95 or something for my properties.
That's free money.
It is. It is free money, right? And so, I made out great. That's fantastic for me. But for people nowadays, it's more difficult going and biting back to that 6 or 7% rate. But that's not expensive historically, right? People just got to adjust to that. But I think what's going to happen is if we do see rate drops, I think you're going to see a spike in applications. And when you see rate hikes, you're going to see a drop. Whereas traditionally, it would be smoother across the board. So I'm not saying it's going to be feast or famine, like every few weeks. But I think inspection volume may more closely follow the mortgage application trend than it has historically. And we'll see that through this year, right?
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. Actually, this trends with the prediction Beon and I made earlier, which we we're not as in tune with that aspect of the industry as you are by any means. But as soon as they lowered the rates, I think to like 6.4, I forget what it was, back in December, late December 26th, right after Christmas, we said, okay, this is going to mean a great spring because that's a downward trend. Even if they don't go back up past 7 in the next several weeks, I mean, that's gonna flow right over into almost the summertime.
Yeah. Well, you know what's weird is a lot of the experts are predicting a strong Q3 and Q4.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking rates will actually drop down into Q4 as low as in the 5s. But there's big, depends who you ask, right? Like you ask them in May, their experts are saying like 6.2, something like that. But you look at the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're predicting into the 5s. One of the reasons that I predict a better spring, though, and maybe rates might go even lower, if you think on an annual basis, and I don't know how much you know about the mortgage companies and how they work, and these big wholesalers, every new year, they're going to reset their targets for the year. So you're a sales team, you're a sales director, you're pushing products out there, you're designing, essentially loan products. What are you going to do to push those sales? You're going to try and get a jump start. You're not going to wait until the end of the year necessarily to push this out. So you've got to think that the mortgage companies are a business as well, right? What are they going to do to encourage strong sales in this springtime? They don't have the refis anymore, right? I think of that 28% jump, less than 30% were for refis. Whereas if you go look at the last 2 years, a lot of these mortgage companies are making a huge amount from refinancing. So that's gone away. So what are they going to focus on? They've got resale homes and new builds.
Yep.
Right. And both of those you need home inspections on. The new builds, try and convince clients sometimes that they do need an inspection, but they definitely do need an inspection. And I know because there's 2 houses getting built near me right now that definitely need an inspection. If anybody's in the Dripping Springs, Texas market, let me know. I'll show you where those are. But yeah, both those they're going to be pushed. They're going to be pushing these products, right? So I think it'd be a little bit of a slow start to the year. Strong March, April, like you're saying, and staying strong into Q4 would be my prediction. As people are kind of just waiting to see what happens. Right.
Perfect. So you all heard it here from Christian Adams from Repair Pricer. He knows this industry inside and out, especially the real estate mortgage aspect of things. We're going to have in our prediction, again, too, here at Inspector Toolbelt, our prediction is a banger spring. It's going to be awesome this spring, but it's hard to see that right now. I've had many, many phone calls. I'm on the phone all day with inspectors all over the U.S. and Canada, and they're like, I did 2 last month. So hang on. just hang on a little bit longer, and it is going to be awesome. And if you did hang on, you have less competition now. Yep. There are literally less inspectors out there than there were just 6 months ago.
Yep.
So
it's market share. Think about market share, right? Think about what you can be doing now. Okay. Who are your referral sources who are going to survive through this? Okay. Foreclosures are climbing slightly, right? Look at that side of the business. Investors, right? Investors, they have cheap money already. They're not sitting there borrowing from a mortgage company. So look at your investors. Look at your real estate companies that work with investors and foreclosures and banks. Try and maximize your profit per inspection. Don't sell your sewer scopes, guys. Not yet, right? All these things that I keep seeing listed online, like in infrareds and radon detectors, and try and keep your profit, your net profit per inspection high. Think of all the add-ons that you can do to make more money, and get out there and be marketing. Right.
Yeah, and that's really key, because I think some guys are holding on, are just sitting there grabbing the arms of their chair, waiting for a phone call for an inspection, or even just going out and getting a part-time job. Which, if you have to do that, do it if you're hanging on. But spend time marketing. You want to hit the ground running, because it's going to be a good spring in our prediction, and you have hard data for us. That's hard data to look at. Historically, you have 100 people sign up for a mortgage application, 90 of them are going to need a home inspection in 6 weeks or so. So that's how it works.
They're predicting a drop in home prices about 4% across the board this year.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about a buyer's market coming back. Dropping prices puts you in a buyer's market. They need inspections. They're not going to be waiving things, right? So maybe the number of home sales will be lower, but the proportion of those sales that have inspections on them and value the inspector is going to be higher. So hang on, right? Dig in. Yeah, if you got to get the part-time job, you got to put food on the table, right? We both got kids you got to take care of your family and things like that, but don't get rid of everything yet. Set yourself up for success, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do they say? Fail to prepare and prepare to fail.
Yeah.
As it were, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Get ready for spring. Do what you can to stay on. Get those referral sources. Don't concentrate on new agents. These seasoned agents with deep pockets and good marketing networks are the ones that are coming through this, right? Set your foundations there. And maybe their current inspector has gone out of business.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe they've hung up their boots and they're done. Go out and find out what you can do now to set those foundations so that when it starts getting busy and that agent or that referral source needs somebody to turn to, you're there, you're top of mind, right?
Exactly. Opportunities like this only come around every decade or so for home inspection companies. Do not miss this opportunity. It's a great one. Thank you very much, Christian, for being here for the special episode. We're recording and sending out within minutes of each other, because this is good news for the industry and we want to get it out there. Thank you so much for being on.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you so much.